How's it going, everybody, and welcome back. If you look up a definition of headache in the dictionary, I'm pretty sure you'll see a picture of this quad right next to it. This is an 02 Honda Rincon 650. It's been on the channel quite a few times for a bunch of different problems. I didn't ride it a lot in the wintertime this year, and then I just tried to start it about a week ago, and it won't run. It'll start off starting fluid, it'll start and run off of brake clean, but it won't run off its own fuel, so all I can assume is that all the gas is gelled up in the carb. So I guess we're taking the carburetor off again and seeing if we can get it to work. People always say what good quads these things are, but we haven't had anything but problems with ours. I think I mentioned that the computers went out in it once, so that was $1,400 or something like that to fix. It was in limp mode. The transmission in these things are kind of strange. They're not like a motorcycle transmission. These are they have a torque converter in them. They're an automatic, unfortunately, but whatever. It's all computer controlled. The carburetor, which is right here, this thing went out so often, it was just leaking all the fuel out of it. And it kept taking it back to the Honda dealer over and over and over again. And finally, they just said, we can't fix this thing. Quit bringing it to us. And they just abandoned us altogether on the quad, which I think is kind of strange. I took the air cleaner off already. It's over there. And it will run on brake clean. So I've already tried that. There's really nothing left to do except to get in here and start pulling the carb off. I don't even fully remember how to take this thing all apart. But I believe that I gotta get this stuff off in order to pull off that front little piece here, to remove the other thing, to get to the breather, so I can get that big breather pipe off of the carb. We're going to find out how this phone mic works too, because we're supposed to get a thunderstorm here in a bit. It'll probably be pretty echoey, but I'll have to get another microphone. If you saw my last video, you know that I dropped the camera and broke the microphone. So, nothing I can do about that until I get a new mic. So, just bear with me. There we go. I guess, I don't know, maybe this wasn't tightened down. Did I forget to tighten it down? Got one of those little worm gear clamps, just like that. We got to take off down in there, and then this thing should pull out and get us better access to the carb. Alright, loosen up that clamp. There we go. That's off. Now at least we can see the carb a little bit better. So down here on the side by the starter, it's 8mm, or I think this is 5/16. Works about the same. This is your idle adjustment. It's like a little thumb screw. It adjusts the idle screw on the carburetor. You got to take that off because it stays with the carb. Well, we'll say that you get what you pay for. So down here we've got the sleeve for the little idle adjuster thing, and you can see it's all broken apart just from it being kind of cheap or whatever. But I've got tons of comments in the past from a lot of the Honda guys telling me that I should have just sold this thing for putting this carburetor on there, and I wasn't taking good care of the bike or quad, whatever they call it. And yeah, that it's just OEM or nothing. But at the time, keep in mind that this carburetor was over $500, and it was a special order from Honda. And yeah, I just couldn't really afford it. I just wanted a solution to the problem. The dealer had washed their hands with the whole thing, and they wouldn't help me anymore. So I just needed to try to get the thing running. But, you know, it is what it is. It's been running pretty well ever since. It's not an OEM one. So if you're super mad that I didn't put an OEM carb on it, you know, you're more than welcome to buy me a $500 OEM Honda carb for this 23-year-old machine, or 22, and I'll put it on. But please don't message me saying, you know, I should have spent more money on it, because I really didn't want to. It was pretty expensive already with all of the dealer fees to get that carburetor fixed, and you know, replacing the computers and all of that different stuff. I just wanted to ride the bike, or quad, whatever you want to call it. So it is what it is. That being said, the one thing that I have noticed You can let me know in the comments what you think of this idea. I don't know, maybe it's all in my head, but it seems like original carburetors don't gel up fuel nearly as fast as these aftermarket cheaper carbs do. Because I've got rototillers and snow blowers and all kinds of different stuff that have the original carburetors on them. I'll leave gas in them all winter long, start them up, or all summer, start them up in the winter, and they're fine. I don't take any special care of them, and they always seem to work. Now, on these aftermarket carburetors, I've had my little XR100 Supermoto race bike. I had bought a brand new, cheap carburetor for it. Went up and got a brand new tank of gas or can of gas, put it in there, rode around a little bit, let it sit, and like a couple of months later, the entire float bowl was gel. So that was in the dead of summer here in Michigan, and I think that's pretty weird that fuel can gel in 2 months. So that just seems just weird. But anyhow, let me know in the comments if maybe they use a cheaper alloy or the plating is different. Something that would potentially make those little aftermarket carburetors gel up fuel faster. Oh, we gotta take this thing out. Yeah, I don't know if that's a real thing or not about the alloys, but it sure seemed weird, and I've had that happen on quite a few aftermarket carburetors. That XR100 though, I couldn't even believe that. It was nice weather out and it gelled the carb. It was weird. It acted just like this. It wouldn't run. Took it apart. Looked like it had a jello mold in the bottom of the tank, or bottom of the float bowl. All right, well, pop that off. Got the air box kind of out of the way. Sorta. And there we go, roughly. Oh, there's some gas. Gotta unplug this. Alrighty, so there we go, that's that. Alright. This should expose the cam. There you are. The throttle. That's how that works. Okay, we're good to go on that. Take that off. I'm guessing that the needle and seat's stuck on it. At least that's what it feels like. I mean, since gas was gushing out of it. The gas doesn't smell great. So, I don't know what the deal is with gas these days. It just seems like it's hit or miss. Alright. A flathead screw? What the heck? What kind of caveman built this thing? I'm sure I put that on. There we go. Ooh. I guess I forgot to shut the gas off. First off, I want you guys to place your bets on what we're going to find inside. Will there be any gel at all? There's the fuel that's coming out of it. It doesn't look terrible. It doesn't smell fresh, but at the same time, I did put almost 5 gallons of fresh fuel in this thing. Well, it's got gel in it, that's for sure. Let me get you closer. Oh, would you look at that? That sucks. Yeah, that little XR100 I was telling you about, the gel had completely covered everything that you could see down in there. It was probably up to that mark right there. And it was just 100% solid gel like that. So this isn't even as bad as I thought. Why it's green though is a mystery to me. Why would it be green? I don't know. Greenish yellow. Yeah, it was stuck. Look at that. It's got gel all over in it. Yep. Alright. Well, let me get this thing apart. Look at that. It's like sandy feeling. It's like gritty. I mean, it doesn't even smell horrible, which is strange. It doesn't smell like, you know, super gross old gas. It just is what it is. This is acetone. Which is one of the primary ingredients in Carb and choke cleaner, if I'm not mistaken. I think it might be the primary ingredient, period. I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments. We'll just fill this up a little bit. Let it marinate. And there we go. I think we found our culprit. Yeah, that'll do it. So it was hanging the float. I mean, at least the float's plastic on this one and it's not brass. And would have corroded it up. It's all inside of here too. Gross. Well, let me clean this thing up. And, you know, no real surprises there, but, you know, it sucks. I don't know why it does that. As I've said, this carburetor has been fine for 4 years. I think this was one of the earlier videos on my channel, is fixing this carburetor or doing something with the quad. I think it was the carburetor. But I haven't had an issue with the gas ever since then. I've never like treated it for the winter. I've never done any type of like stable anything like that. Nothing. This is just like a weird occurrence that this would happen now. And I drove it in the fall. So it's only been sitting for, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months, 3 months, something like that. No, I might have started in the winter time. I don't know. I don't understand how fuel can just all of a sudden gel up like this. It must have something to do with the additives that they're putting in them nowadays. Let me know in the comments below, because I can't make heads or tails out of some of this. I'll just go ahead and liberally hose this thing down. You should get yourself one of these little canisters. Not a sponsor, but you can just refill them with whatever you want. Pressurize them in your air compressor, and then you can just buy your whatever by the gallon instead of buying it by the can. It's way cheaper. I go through a lot of acetone here, so it is really handy to have. All right, well, I got to take off, so I'm going to soak this stuff for a little bit, and then I will come back to it later tonight. I'm sure you can hear the rain, I would assume. Let's blow this thing out. I don't believe that it's going to need a lot because all of the problems were here. That's obviously clear. I don't know if you could tell, but it's totally clean. So we're good. Yeah, I don't think we're going to have any other issues with that. The seat is super clean. No corrosion or anything on the seat. This right here is kind of a problem. We're just going to polish it up. A little bit of acetone on a rag. You don't want to scratch it up, or else it can start to corrode. So you don't want to use like Scotch-Brite on it or anything like that. So we're nice and clean there. The bore is good. All right. And the hardest thing about working on the carb on this quad is just getting it out. Now we'll put our screws in. Actually, these are JIS screws. Well, if you're unfamiliar with JIS, see the dot at the top? That means it's a JIS, Japanese Industrial Standard. They take a special screwdriver. That means it's a JIS. So that's why on a lot of motorcycles and mini bikes and stuff that you see, oh, we forgot a part. They have stripped out screws. And that's because the screwdriver you're supposed to use is a JIS and not a Phillips. They look the same. They work kind of the same. But a Phillips head will strip out, all of these, motorcycle screws, but a JIS will not. So it's something to keep in mind if you're working on Japanese bikes, things like that. You got to have a JIS. If you notice, the JIS stuff fits super snug. So, those are the screwdrivers to use when you're working on these. So if you see a bike that doesn't have all of the screws stripped out of it, just order you a set of JIS screwdrivers on Amazon or get them wherever you get your tools, and you will be super thankful that you did. It's going to save you a lot of trouble in the future. So JIS is where it's at for all of these, metric bikes. And I had pretty much forgotten about those JIS screwdrivers. I don't use them very often. All right, we'll just put our cover on. Are we in the right spot now? There we go. Put our cover on. We use the proper screwdriver this time. I'm telling you, they're nice. As you can see, they fit so well. It's a one-way check ball, so water doesn't flood up inside of your carburetor float ball. Plug on our throttle position sensor. Oh, I got to get a different clamp. Get rid of this thing. Well, I found another flathead, but at least this time it has a provision for a, nut driver. That's the word I was trying to find. I'm all out of the super nice fuel injection high pressure clamps. Those are the ones that I prefer to use over these worm gear style ones. I don't even think you can see me right now, but that's all right. Just putting a clamp on. Well, I'll be interested to edit this thing and see how bad the rain is, because that'll determine when I've got to get a microphone for the camera. So I guess we could just try to start it up. I'm sure it'll, the battery's dead, but we can try to start it. I'm sure it'll run. It might not run great without the air filter on. It seems like it doesn't really like to run without the air filter in. Alrighty, I got the jump pack hooked up. That's where the battery is on this thing. Should be able to start it right up. Putting the gas on. Pull out the choke. Seems to run fine. Once again, I'm not sure what it is. I have things with carburetors that the gas just never gets swapped out. It never gets stable. It never gets an additive. It never gets a treatment. It gets nothing. It's just, and they seem to be fine. I only go to like 2 gas stations, period. Like, they're the closest ones to me that I know have good gas for the price. And I don't know, it's just, at the time that my little XR100 little race bike had that gelled up gas, that gasoline was also running this. It was running another motorcycle. It was run in the lawnmower. It was ran in everything. So there's a lot of that stuff. It also sat, but it didn't gel. That's the weird thing. The gas would be in the rototiller. It didn't gel, but it gelled in that bike. Same gas, same can, same date, same everything. Why would one gel up and the others not? Let me know what you think. Well, I'm glad it was something pretty easy and that was relatively fast, because it's pouring rain outside. It's essentially a swamp here right now. It rains all of the time, but the quad is fixed. It wasn't a big deal. My $90 offshore, carburetor is still kicking. Just goo in the carburetor. I'd really like to know how that all works out. Anyway, I guess I'll find out how quickly I need to order a microphone based on this, because it's super loud in here and I'm screaming at the mic. Other than that, thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.